Oh my God, this was recording the whole time. Hey everybody, welcome to this edition of 9 to Wine and Whiskey. We've been gone for a little bit, but we are back. So we have an awesome topic, real powerhouse topic today. Crystal, tell us what we're talking about.
So we found this fantastic book by Sincero called You're a Badass at Making Money, and man, it was powerful for me. Sounds like it was for you too.
Yes.
So we just want to share it with you guys. And so she started, her first book was You're a Badass, and it's all about, manifesting what you want in your life and really getting those negative things that we say to ourselves all the time out of your head and really becoming the powerhouse that we all have inside of us. So this was just that second edition of it, and more specific to financial life and how to manifest the income and the money into your life that you want.
Yes. One of the things she quotes in the audio, because we're not big on reading, just kidding. So we have the audio book. Crystal was sweet and generous enough to gift it to me, so she sent it to me to listen to as well, which I found very helpful, because if I'm just driving the kids around or doing stuff around the house, I can just plug in the earphones or put it on in my car, and it's awesome. But the one thing she says is the language that we speak to ourselves, and I'm not going to quote it verbatim. She says the language that we define and the way we talk to ourselves and the way we speak about what we want to manifest is structured based upon our thoughts and the things we say. So positive self-talk. If you're going to say to yourself every day, gosh, I'm so clumsy, I'm always forgetting my keys, you're going to keep putting that out there, and that's where you become more creature of habit, if you will, to the negativity. So I thought that was super strong.
Yeah.
And
the same thing when it comes to financial, of I can't do this because I'm broke, or I can't go hang out with you guys because I'm broke, or I can't get that business coaching that I really know that will take me to the next level because I just don't have the money for it. It's all about that mentality of how are you ever going to get to that next level and make it happen for yourself if you're always finding excuses that life getting in the way.
And it could just be, like she mentioned, something that you've experienced from your childhood. Maybe your parents were always fighting about money. So that's been embedded in your head and in your thought process that money is something that's going to create argument. Money is a negative. It's going to, it's going to create havoc, if you will. If that's what you keep shying yourself away from with making it, or bringing in that extra income, or the career you want, or just the life you want, because you're afraid that it's going to push people away from you, that you hold close into your life, you're doing yourself a disservice. So you just got to get out of that mental setback and get into, what's a good word for, here we go with the words again.
We haven't talked about touching yet.
We haven't. Another word for just kind of like your forefront of thought. Really, just projecting that out there.
Those kids that grew up in extreme poverty.
We're making up our own words now.
I know. We're good at that. She talks about kids that grow up in extreme poverty and become millionaires and even go on to becoming billionaires. What sets them apart from that person that stays in that poverty lifestyle for their whole life and then, builds a family that then is in poverty? What's the difference there? It's their mindset and realizing this is something that is happening to me right now, but this doesn't define me. This isn't who I am, and what's it going to take for me to get to that next level? And same thing for, people that are born into wealthy families that go broke. What's the difference?
Entitlement.
On that end, it's all in your mind. Your mind is a very powerful thing. So find a mantra that really speaks to you, and what she says over and over in the book, because she shares a few success stories, is say it, write it, feel it, and own it. And let that become your mantra. Write down your whys for getting rich or becoming wealthy or making a certain amount of income, whatever your specific goal is. Write down why, because we need to get so infatuated and in love with those reasons for you to actually go out and do what is uncomfortable for you, and those things that are going to take you to the next level that you've never done before, because it's scary. And I love to, this is something in a lot of the personal development stuff that I've done as well, but she talks about quite a few times, is become unreasonable. And for most of us, you're like, why would I be unreasonable? When you're reasonable with a goal or with something that you're really striving for, you're going to find a bunch of reasons. And that's the reasonable thing. You're going to find a bunch of reasons of why this isn't going to work subconsciously. So become unreasonable. Get out of, this is way too hard. I saw my parents struggle. I've seen other people try to start their own businesses and it just doesn't work. My kids, my family life, my whatever that looks like. Just don't let those reasons become what holds you back.
Yeah, she actually mentions that subconscious in an analytical way of being a little prince. So this little prince is trying to protect you, but at the same time is holding you back from taking that risk, from stepping outside of your comfort zone.
So along with writing down those whys of why you've set this goal for yourself, give 3 reasons for each, and as to why you're going to be stronger than the fear of it. And if you are not setting goals that scare the shit out of you, they're not big enough. One thing I love she says in the book too, so if you find a goal that is, and again, it's not going to be verbatim, but find that goal that's scary and that you're on the process and you start down the road or down a lane like you were just referring to, and you find, I don't think this is actually going to get me there. Don't change that goal to settle for that result. Keep the goal, but change the lane, change the tactic, like you just said. And
you could be down one certain path that may end up switching a bit. It may turn into a different path, but it's still leading you to the same goal or the same end result.
Come up with 3 ways that you can fall more deeply in love with your why and do them every single day. Find ways that you can have those little reminders every single day that this is why I'm doing this and this is why I want it.
Yeah, and then to piggyback on that, it goes along with a vision board. So if you can, a lot of people are like, oh my gosh, like I can't list everything. So find 3 main points is what I'm thinking would be good. Make a collage if you need to as your screensaver, or the background on your phone. So it's something that, because again, with the whole say it, write it, feel it, own it, you need to visualize it as well.
Notice 3 things about your financial life that you're focusing on in a negative light. And we all, no matter how much money you make, we all do it. But make the conscious effort and choice to shift your focus. So in one part of the book too, she talks about Jim Carrey, who is one of my favorite comedians. And I just love the story that she shares, that he was on Oprah a while back and kind of shared his story, but he grew up, very little money. He was him and his family were living in a van at one point when he was chasing his acting, dreams, and they moved out to California with him, but were completely broke. But he had that power of the mind and the mindset, manifesting. People are gonna love what I do, and people are just gonna throw deals at me and movies at me. And so he actually was at the point of, he finally started getting some traction. He was, had a day job, but was getting some gigs at night, but just still wasn't to that point that he knew he was going to be. And so what he did was set a goal and wrote himself a check for $10 million and set the date for 3 years from that day. And so again, this is 3 years we're talking about. That's a lot of time, but he knew he was going to get to this point, so he did everything he could, manifesting, telling himself every day, carried that check around with him every single day.
That's awesome.
And again, $10 million. So to make a long story short, just before that date was about to come to fruition, he got the role for Dumb and Dumber and got paid $10 million. We're doing that movie.
You've had this extra pair of gloves this entire time.
Yeah,
we're in the Rockies.
Best movie ever.
Ever.
So again, getting back to the book that we've been talking about for this episode, go out and get it. And even if it's something that you're like, I already make good money,
You could always
what am I going to learn?
New.
There's so much in here, and she truly works with now. The way that she's built her business and coaching, she works with a ton of very high-level professionals that own their own companies, executives, CEOs, different things like that. So you know, even if you're already doing really well for yourself and you've hit a lot of these goals, how are you going to get to that next one and continue growing? So I highly suggest it for all of you.
And think about it this way too. You never know what could happen. You could be sitting on a gold mine one day, and then the next day it could be just taken right from underneath you. You never know.
Yeah.
So you always want to be prepared for stuff like that, and knowledge is key. I mean, you can't put a price tag on that. So
And
the
even
book
if
is
you don't
amazing.
like reading,
Get the audio.
get the audio. Like,
Say it, write it, feel it.
own it.
Babes supporting babes, thank you for tuning in for this edition of 9 to Wine Whiskey. We will see you guys soon.
See you soon.
Okay.
Far away, the ship is